I'm going to be starting off with this video
Living alone at a young age is like
that
being
has to
born in.
deal with What They Don't Tell You About Living Alone by Sam Adams 3 months ago. And I'm even going to say myself that I live alone myself as of right now. And it is one of the most ideal states that I've ever had in my life. I will also caveat that by saying that I definitely would not say that I'm anti living with roommates or even living with a significant other. What I will say is that they are an amplifier either way. What that means is that if you are with the right people, then they can make the experience even better. And if you are with the wrong people, they can make the experience even worse. And that'll also go with family as well. That's another living arrangement that you could have. So, roommates, a significant other, family that I can think of, essentially. So, I would say that it's an amplifier, but I am living alone as of right now. And it is my favorite living arrangement as of right now. But that being said, let's continue to look into this content and give some reacts.
Living alone at a young age is like being born into a new world. It was a world of hard truths I had to face. And with those hard truths came growth, character development, and one of the greatest feelings I've ever had in my early adulthood. There were too many things I wasn't prepared for, like getting home tired, not wanting to put the effort into cooking and feeding myself, and worrying about how expensive groceries have become. Plus, if I chose not to cook, I'll be paying $20 for a meal that may or may not fill me up. Nope.
So, just that, there's a lot that was really being said there. In fact, geez, I mean, basically, the character development, and yes, I'm going to also just change the destination here. I am largely doing this because I don't want to run into some sort of copyright strike. But certainly, yes, the character development is something that I do think is extremely important by all means, especially just since, in terms of the character development, it really is up to you, and everything you have to take care of on your own. There's, if you don't do it, it doesn't get done, period. Pros and cons to that. There's also, if you don't do it, it's not like somebody else did it for you. It's not like I'm living with a roommate and someone else is going and using some of my materials or my contents, and then I don't even know where that is. So what it is that I'm trying to get at is that there's pros and cons. I've lived with my family, I've lived with roommates, I've lived on my own. As I'm saying, this is definitely my favorite living arrangement. But certainly, yes, if you don't have groceries and you have to go pay money for a meal, for sure, and then that can be quite a lot more. I mean, yeah, $20, so there you have it. And yeah, you're not sure if that's going to fill you up, and you're not necessarily even sure what the portioning of that meal is going to be. So there's definitely a lot of merit to just knowing that you have to really take care of yourself in that regard. And I even also noticed that I really had to be a lot more cognizant of my portion sizes, because there's one time where I just got a bunch of bacon, and I had to realize that I needed to set the bacon up in a way using Ziploc bags, so that then I only have a certain amount of bacon in the fridge at the time and the rest of it's in the freezer. Because with what was in the fridge, if I had all of the bacon in the fridge, I, as a single individual, would not be able to go through all of the all of the food without in a fast enough time for it to not expire. So I thought that that was very interesting, but nonetheless.
Nobody tells you how normal not socializing becomes. They don't tell you the only way to speak to someone is through the phone. If you want human interaction, you have to leave the house or bask in silence. They don't tell you that once your work is.
Just on that, I mean, if you want human interaction, you could also just go out of your way to invite people over. By all means. I mean, you get to choose when and where, when and how you have that social interaction. Because I've been in the opposite end where I'd be at work and then I come home, I live with roommates, and then I don't really want to socially interact. I just want to be somewhat of a recluse, or I want to be antisocial because I was so social at work, working in a job that had to deal with interacting with customers on a regular basis. In any case,
Is over, your chores and tasks are completed, you have food and everything looks good, then now you're facing a new issue: boredom. I spent too much time looking at my ceiling while laying down on the floor.
I think that boredom is definitely just depending on the person, 1000%, because I would find that there's plenty that I have to entertain me for sure. Different YouTube videos. There's a lot of shows that I like to watch. Still trying to keep up with the gym, trying to do this content creation. I'm into language learning, among other factors. There's so much that I'm really trying to do to fill up my day, and a lot of time I actually feel like there's not even enough hours in the day, plus the amount of time that you may spend going to work as well. So I actually think that it's pretty fine for me, but I definitely think that it would be different depending on the person.
For no reason at all. You get wrapped up in your thoughts and forget where you are. They don't tell you remember to speak today, because the days you spend home all day, you have no reason to vocalize. It's strange. They don't let you know that it'll become a test of discipline. Your home reflects.
That I think is actually pretty interesting in terms of remember to speak today, because I actually do talk out loud quite a bit to be able to articulate my thoughts. I think that it helped me a lot with being able to actually articulate and streamline my thoughts. So that's not really a problem for me, but I can imagine I believe that I'm an outlier in that regard, so I can imagine what that would be like for the average person. But nonetheless. And then yes, the discipline. Yeah, absolutely your home is a reflection of you for sure. If you don't clean it, if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. For sure.
You being able to keep it clean, keep food on your own table, and pay for the roof over your head are direct reflections of who you've become as a person. They don't tell you that you become your own person. You don't rely on anyone ever. And if something needs to be done, you'll do it. They don't tell you how many new hobbies you might try out, like reading, meditating, juggling, acrobatics, and even cooking. They don't tell you that your home becomes a safe place for the ones you love. Your arms are always open for people once you live alone. They don't tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as I was saying, it really, you have to keep it clean, keep the food on the table, keep on paying the rent. I have never had a late rent payment in my life. Never. I'm pretty proud of that. And I've been living on my own for more than half a decade now. So, very proud of that.
You that while there's a whole lot of upsides, there are plenty of downsides that come right with it. But that never means not to move out. If you can, you should. You'll become a better version of yourself within days.
I definitely do think that, and we all do this alike,
I
and
didn't know Uber had senior discounts.
I'm a freshman.
laws over here. And so I think that that's very interesting. And I'll see what his channel is about as well, just in general. So, yeah, I can tell that just from looking at his body that he certainly tries to work out. Yeah, the living alone video is very popular. So, I mean, good for him. And yeah, I always like to try to see just other content creators and what they've done with their video, with their channels. So yeah, he's 19. Yeah, starting his financial journey at 18. Good for him. Seems like a relatively young guy. If he was 18 then 4 years ago, then, and I can imagine 4+ years ago, maybe 5 years ago, he's like 22, 23 at this point. So when he says living alone at a young age, I definitely think that that's very interesting.